Special teams are often neglected, but not here on Mark Rogers TV. We're looking at positional units. So we stop in Pittsburgh with Jim Hammett from Cardiac Hill, sizing up the Panthers. We've made our way all the way to special teams. Okay, Jim, let's start with the kicker spot. Chris Blewitt, not the best name for a field goal kicker, but hey, he's been able to do it pretty well for 3 years at 73%. Bit of an off year. So in looking at the numbers, 30 for 39 for 2 years, 15 for 23 last year, missed a lot of kicks, but again, that may not be the full story. He did have a couple game winners. Yeah,
Blewitt, he's been inconsistent. Like you said, the first couple years he was pretty good. Last year, a little inconsistent, but he has a strong leg. I go back to that Georgia Tech game where he had a 54-yarder to win it. Then also, like you mentioned, another game winner, he beat Syracuse as time expired, and that was kind of part of Pitt's, exciting big start to last year when they raced out to a 6-1 record, and they kind of won some of those games they lost in the past. So, Blewitt's one of those guys where, he can come up with a big kick here and there. It's kind of those where he loses focus in the middle of games, and it cost Pitt a few points last year. But going into a senior year, Pitt's kind of hoping he has things figured out and he's ready for a big senior season.
Yeah, easy to look at the percentage. You got to look at the distance. You got to look at the situations. Did it cost your team? Did he come through in the clutch? Those sorts of things. So Blewitt's a senior. Ryan Winslow, the punter, he's a junior. Looks pretty solid at 41+ yards per punt.
Yeah, he had a good career. The past few seasons. He had a good season last year. He was just named to the Ray Guy watch list as one of the top punters in the country. He was able to give Pitt some good field position throughout the year, nail a few inside the 20. He's on, both of Pitt's specialists are on scholarship. Sometimes that doesn't always happen at schools, but, a few years ago, Paul Chryst decided that it needed to happen. They needed to upgrade the special teams a little bit, and he was able to do that. And Winslow out of Philadelphia, pretty solid recruit, and he's been fairly strong for Pitt in his career.
So you've got a couple guys returning kicks, whether it be kickoffs or punts, and Avonte Maddox, we talked about him, obviously, in the secondary. Quadree Henderson, they both returned kickoffs for touchdowns last year. Unfortunately, didn't really impact the game positively enough in either instance because he won the game one in a blowout over Youngstown State, and the finale, the bowl game, was a good start to the bowl game, but fell to the midshipmen. So your thoughts about the return game?
Well, they definitely showed the ability that they can break a game open, whether, it's kind of like saying the home run when the team's up 13-1 doesn't matter. Well, it's still, it still happened. I mean, it maybe didn't affect the game, but it showed the ability that you can do it. Henderson, he also had a big return against Miami. It was initially called a touchdown. They ruled he stepped out at the 10, but that was actually a big moment. Pitt was trying to come back against Miami the day after Thanksgiving, and that's the type of player he is. He's 5'8", 175 pounds, just kind of those quick, shifty little guys, put the ball in his hands, and he'll make a play. So, Pitt feels pretty comfortable with him. Obviously, Maddox, he made a play against Youngstown State. He's athletic. In high school, I think he set like the Michigan record for return kicks. So they're both experienced guys. And, the one thing they are going to miss Tyler Boyd. He was a sure-handed punt returner. Maybe wasn't the explosive player that these guys were, but, he would catch the ball, no fumbles, that kind of thing. So you almost have to wonder if Jordan Whitehead will get a look. Pitt's throwing a lot on his plate already, so maybe not. But there's athletes. Pitt has, different guys they can turn to, but definitely looks like Henderson that might be his role this season.
So, Jim, unless the team's got some obvious breakdowns from last year in the coverage units, it all looks to be pretty solid.
Yeah, actually, Pitt was towards the top of the country in blocking kicks. That was kind of an added emphasis. I believe they blocked one on Virginia Tech, so they out-beamer balled the Hokies, at least in one instance. So that's going to be an emphasis this year. And it kind of seemed in the Paul Chryst era they kind of let that kind of special teams go, and Narduzzi really shored it up, brought in a special teams coordinator, really put an added focus on it, and it definitely showed up, and it kind of propelled Pitt from being that 6-win team to an 8-win team.
Now that is one of the more exciting plays in football, is a blocked kick, in my book. I love blocked kicks, punts, field goals, exciting stuff. All right, Jim Hammett from Cardiac Hill, sizing up special teams for the Pitt Panthers. He's helped us break down the offense, the defense, and special teams, and we'll look forward to further previews coming up, Jim. We appreciate it.
Yep, can't wait for football.